Hey guys, welcome to lesson 3.1.2, day 1. This is probably going to take 2 days. We are going to focus today on rewriting expressions and still determining equivalency. So really we're going to put a lot of focus on that whole idea of factoring and also multiplying out binomials, just so we are solid on that skill when it comes to determining equivalency between expressions. So my first two problems here are basically telling me that I need to multiply out these binomials. Now, because I'm going to multiply them out, these right here represent the product. Let me put that up here. This represents the product. A product is just what you get when you multiply anything, okay? And so both of these are products. All right. And so let's go ahead and multiply these out and see what we get. When we're dealing with multiple expressions here, we can put one of them on the top. It doesn't matter which one you put on the top versus putting the other one on the side. If I switched these up, it would have been okay. And then I'm just going to multiply. Remember, these are area models, right? So really what we're doing is we're multiplying the base times the height, and whatever we get inside is essentially the area of that box. Okay, so in this box, as we already know how to do, right, 3x times 2x gets us 6x squared, 3x times negative 3 gets us negative 9x, 2x times 1 for this box, that's going to be 2x, and then for this last box, negative 3 times 1 gives us a negative 3. All right, and it's important to note that whenever you're trying to figure out what the area of this box is by multiplying the two expressions, make sure you combine any like terms that you may find. So these two right over here can be combined, right? Negative 9x and 2x can combine to make negative 7x. Okay, and so now we are ready to go ahead and figure out what my simplified sum is. So we would have a 6x squared, and then we just found out that these two add up to make negative 7x, so minus 7x, and then we have a minus 3. All right, and this right here, what we just did, is called the sum, because that is what we get when we add together everything inside the box. Okay, so the sum, again, is what you get when you add everything in the box, and then the product is what you get when you find out, what you are multiplying by each other to fill out the box in the first place. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's switch colors for funsies. All right, so let's see. We got 5k minus 3, and then a 2k minus 1. So let's go ahead and multiply. 2k times 5k is 10k squared. Negative 3 times 2k is negative 6k. 5k times negative 1 is negative 5k. And negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Now, once again, don't forget that we do have some like terms here. All right, so we can say that we get, let's put that back in blue. We have a 10k squared. We have negative 5 plus negative 6. That's going to give us a negative 11k. And we have a plus 3 on the end. Okay, and once again, that negative 11k came from these two added together. All right, so this, once again, is the sum, because that's everything in the box added together. Okay, that's what a sum is when you're adding things together, versus the product, which is the two things we multiplied to get the sum. All right, so that is how we use the generic rectangle or the area model to multiply and get the sum. Now we're going to move backwards. Okay, this time we are given the product, or sorry, we're finding the product, and we are given the sum. All right. And this is exactly what you think it is. Okay, we have to factor, which you guys are all pros at now, right? Alrighty, so let's try this one first. We're just factoring this the good old-fashioned way, nothing new. So first term goes in the top left, third term goes in the bottom right. Okay, bust out the diamond. So first times the third gets us the top, which is negative 4x squared. That's what we have to multiply to get. And then the middle term goes at the bottom. This is what we have to add to get. Okay, so now we're ready to play the game. What two numbers multiply to make negative 4 and add to make negative 3? Okay, after some trial and error, you might realize that you would be able to use negative 4x and 1x, okay, because negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, good to go. Negative 4 times plus 1 is negative 3, okay, so we know it works. We can fill in our boxes. And now we're ready to figure out what our product is for once and for all. So we can look in this box and we're like, okay, well, what times what equals x squared? It's got to be x and x. What times x equals 1x? It's got to be 1. And then what times x equals negative 4x? Well, that's got to be negative 4. Okay, so as we know, our product is going to be x plus 1 from here, and then from here we get x minus 4. All right, let's do one more. This time, this is our quadratic right over here, and we're going to factor it, so same setup, right? First term goes in the top left, third term goes in the bottom right, and let's do our diamond. Alrighty, so first times third, 6 times x squared is 6x squared. That's the multiply one. And then middle term goes at the bottom, so my 5x. And then we have to play the game, okay? And I'm putting those plus and multiplication signs there to remind us how to play the game, right? We have to find the two numbers that multiply to make 6, that's why I put the multiplication sign here, and add to make 5, okay? The two that are going to do that are going to be 3x and 2x, because 3 times 2 is 6, 3 plus 2 is 5. So let's use those to fill in our boxes. All right, and now we are ready to roll. X and x is what you would need to multiply to get x squared. You need a 3 here to get the 3x with the x, and then x times 2 is going to give us this 2x. Okay, so our final product here is x plus 2 times x plus 3. It doesn't matter which one of these you put in which parentheses. Order doesn't matter with that multiplication there. All right, so this is how you find the sum and the product. Okay, just remember that sum is when you add all the boxes, and then product is what you multiply on the outside of the boxes. All right, so now we're going to try some slightly more challenging area models. Okay, and we're going to find the sum and the product. It's very important that you remember that the sum is when you add the insides of the boxes. All right. And then product is when you multiply what's on the outside of the boxes. Ooh, can't talk. Apparently I can't write either. All right. Okay. So for this one, it's very important to remember that we are working with rectangles, right? Area models are always rectangles. So right off the bat, what that tells us is that what's on one side of a rectangle will be on the other side of a rectangle. So it's kind of like a puzzle, okay? We're going to fill out whatever we can. So if there's an X on this side, there has to be an X on this side simply because we are working with a rectangle, okay? And you guys know that from geometry, that the opposite sides of rectangles are equal. Okay, and that tells us that for this rectangle, we can put a 3 on this side. All right, and we don't quite know anything about this part yet. So now we can start filling out other parts outside of our area model, right? So here, you have to figure out, okay, well, I have an xy inside of the box. What times x must get me xy? Well, our only option there is a y, right? Y times x is what's going to give us xy. For here, we would just do 3 times y because that's the base times the height, and so we would get 3y. And then here, lastly, we know that this box has a height of y. Since this side's y, this side is also y. So what times y is going to give us y squared? Well, that's got to just be y, right? We know that y times y is going to be y squared. could put that on this side too. Okay, so notice again how the bottom is the same as the top, the left is the same as the right. It's because we're working with rectangles. So now we can get the sum and the product. Remember, the sum is everything inside added up. So it's going to be xy plus 3y plus y squared. We just added everything in the boxes. The product is going to be the height and the base multiplied. So we know that the height is y, and then the other side, the base, is x plus 3 plus y. Okay, it's kind of like factoring, but in a kind of a weird way. Right, and that's it for our sum and product for this problem. Let's try the next one. This one's even more fun. All right, let's start by filling out the opposite sides that we already can know right off the bat, right? If this left side is -3, this right side must also be -3. If this bottom is -4y, this top must be -4y as well. That's about all we can do on the outside for now. So let's see what we can do inside, okay? To fill out this box, we know that the base is -4y and the height is -3. So -4y times -3 is going to be a positive 12y. All right, making progress. What about this, okay? We don't have the base or the height for any of these two boxes. However, we can go ahead and fill out some more outsides now that we have more information. We know that the inside here is -20xy, and we know that the base is -4y. So, what can we multiply -4y by to get -20xy? Well, we know we need a 5 because 5 times -4 is -20, and we also need an x, okay, because we have an xy. So we know 5x is going to go here. And so now we know that if this is going to be 5x, this is going to be 5x. Okay, and then we want to figure out some more information. Okay. All right, this part is kind of harder to see, but if you look at this -3, and we have a -6x in this box, we have to see what we need to multiply -3 by to get -6. That would have to be a 2x. Okay, -3 times 2x is -6x. So we can put that here as well. And now we can multiply these two to figure out this box. It's going to give us a 10x squared. All right. Down here, we know that to get a -15, we can multiply -3 by +5. So we could put a 5 up here. And then we can multiply these two. That's going to give us a 25x. All right. So now we can do the sum and the product of our boxes. I am running out of recording time a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and then explain it afterwards. All right, so as you can see here, I've added up all the contents of this box for this expression, and then I combined these two like terms to get my 19, and this is my final sum. Okay, for my product, I'm just going to go ahead and take what's on the outside. So we've got 5x minus 3. And then 2x minus 4y plus 5. Okay, and then we're done with that one. All right, we have one last problem here. Now we're multiplying a little bit more than just binomials, but it works the same way. So let's go ahead and set up our expressions on the outside of our box first. All right, I put the one with 3 terms on the top, of course, since there's 3 spots, and then the other one on the side because there's 2 spots. So then we're going to go ahead and multiply these out, right? 2x times x squared is 2x to the 3rd. Then 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 9 is 18x. -1 times x squared is -x squared. -1 times 3x is -3x. And then -1 times 9 is -9. All right. Now we are just about done. We just have to combine like terms and write our simplified expression. So these two can combine to become 5x squared, because -1 and 6 turn into 5. And then these two will be combining to make 15x. Okay, so our final answer is going to be 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 15x minus 9. Okay, and again, the 5x squared came from these, and then the 15x came from these. And we're all done. Go ahead and give the practice problems a try if you haven't already.